腹黑英式毒草非常闻名，而这家位于英国泽西岛的特色工厂的蓄水不重炼，所以它每个
这个是上面那个他那个厂商。
Hello， 伙伴们，是什么样子？我们今天就开一个腹黑吧，然后这个是一个。
Hi there. Welcome to the home of a giant. Yeah. Legend has it. So, people here in the area, they're gonna tell you that this behind me, what appears like a small castle or whatever, that was the home of a giant. And as all giants, I don't know, he was in bad mood. Always. So what did he do? He pretty much, terrorized the farmers around here. Got all the barley, all the crop, everything he could get, and was just baking bread all day long to fill his belly, of course. Just baking breads, and this whole facility or whatever. So this whole side here, there was just an oven, a huge oven. So where he was baking bread all day long. One day, farmers around here, they just got enough. So they tricked him. And when he tried to check on the oven, they pushed him in and just closed the oven and made it burn quite well. Yeah. So he was struggling, he was fighting, trying to get out, and yeah, he nearly did. So he was about to break through the oven, but the farmers, they showed no mercy to him. They just, well, I don't know, they just put new hay and new wood on it and didn't stop until he just burned down. Yeah, that's how people handled their problems in the old days, I guess. So alright, I don't know about giants, but I'm gonna tell you what historians think what this might have been. So you can decide on your own if you're more about the giant or more about a different story I'm gonna tell you. But first of all, smoking some tobacco, chewing on some Germain's rich dark flake. Yeah, that was an incredible gift by Cass Cassidy and Phil, his friend Phil. You know Uncle Phil Seller, I think is the name of his channel, and Cass Cassidy. So, two great guys. If you don't know them, check them out. So he was kind enough to send me a tin of that. Never had it before. So, company says that this is a similar tobacco to Stonehaven. I had some Stonehaven before, and I still have a tin of Stonehaven down the cellar, but I didn't bring that now to make a comparison, because the internet is full of comparisons between Stonehaven and Germain's stock Flake. And I think so. I saw a video done by Pipe Nuke. Wonderful video, calm video. I mean, he's I don't know. He has many good words about these tobaccos, about the comparison, and many wise things he told. So I think at one point he said, you can find similarities if you just search for that. And I think it's also the other way around. So you can find differences if you just search for that. So I don't want to get into that if that's a similar tobacco or is different tobacco and so on. Just I don't know. And I don't want to talk too much about this tobacco because we know on the internet, so on the YDBC, there are probably more reviews about this tobaccos than tins on the market. So yeah, it's a Germain's. So it's a Germain's. That means it's impossible to hard to get. So it's hard to get, but perhaps even impossible. But I was lucky, so these two guys sent me a tin. So let me show that to you. Where you have this tobacco. This has written Germain's all over it. So, and I really mean that in a good way. So this is excellent tobacco. Let's say that at first. Very thin slices. You see this even leather-like. They have a leather-like appearance. If you touch that, there's some humidity and some kind of stickiness to it, but in a good way. So our first whiff, even reminded me of some grapey notes I got from the Turkish people, tütünü, from this Turkish tobacco. So these yaladak or people tütünü, they have this special grape feeling. But it's more than that. It's more about molasses here and raisin and a very strong plum note. At first, when I opened that and took a first whiff, I thought that's so plummy. But it's all in a good way. All in a good way. Let's say that. So, a bit mouth-watering. If you open that, you can't really wait for that. So you're gonna wrap that out. Be careful, don't do too much, so then otherwise it gets too short. We don't want to have that. And so this is a Burley Virginia mixture. Wow. And there's even the discussion starting at that point. Is it a more Virginia Burley? Is it more Burley Virginia? Yeah, so, but it's aged and yeah. And it's just earthy and dark and everything you're gonna expect just by the look. And it's pretty much that. So the notes you get, so from the first whiff, and that goes on after packing and lighting up. So my feeling is that is about a Kaizen. So it is not about a top flavor, I think. So some guys think that there's a top flavor on it. I don't really think so. So the whole character of the tobacco is more about a Kaizen, a very heavy and certain Kaizen. So you know, you probably all know, the Kaizen is used to restart the fermentation process during the work on the tobacco. So after the tobacco dried out and gets brown and so on. So in this process, he had a good use of sugar, and he took the sugar from his own. And after that sugar is gone, you need some more sugar to restart the fermentation process. And for that you're gonna use a casing. And all these companies, they have different casings. So I don't know, AGU, for example, have these very malty casing that is specific for these AGU tobaccos, especially for the burleys. And McBaron, you have this honey-like casing. And this one is more wild plum and raisin and dried fruits. That would be the direction. That would be the direction. And the tobacco is so smooth, so from first moment. And it is so Germain. That means you won't face any problems with that. So if you light it up, tobacco pretty much stays lit. So it's not a Samuel Gavel. So it seems pretty moist there, fresh from the tin, but it appears, so it behaves very well. It doesn't give you a hard time. You can't really say that. And then you have these casing notes, these raisin notes, these plum notes. Yeah. And it will go on up to the last third of the bowl. Yeah. And that's always a good news. So tobacco can stand its quality. What more would we expect? Yeah, no sharpness, no tongue bite, no nothing. So, is this tobacco recommended? Yeah, well, I don't think you're gonna find many people who won't recommend this tobacco. Only thing is you can't get it. So, I'm sorry for that. Sorry for breaking the news, just in case you didn't already know, but you probably already know about that. So, but I don't know. But Cass Cassidy told me, well, I can get it in the UK. In the UK, we don't have a shortage of that. So, I don't know. Let's see. Perhaps I'm gonna do a trade or whatever. So, well, it's good tobacco. So, but that doesn't mean that it's a good tobacco for everyone. Something like that just doesn't really exist. So it is just about if you're up for that, for these certain notes, for tobacco, which is still an honest tobacco. So you can still feel and smell the earthiness of the natural components and everything. But you have this. Yeah, well, this even dominant flavor of raisin, plum, dried fruit notes all the time, from top to down. So you have to like that. So if you don't like something like that, so well, that's certainly not for you. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it about tobacco. I don't want to be too long about all that. There's so many good reviews about this tobacco, and yeah, check it out and find out what other people think about that. But the main problem is gonna be how to get your hands on mine or on Stonehaven. Doesn't really matter. Both tobaccos are made by Germain. Stonehaven is distributed by Esoterica Tobacco, as you probably know. And wow, those tobaccos are just hard to come by. Yeah. Anyway, let's enter the home of the giant. I don't want to hold back any longer. Besides that, it's pretty cold, so it's... I should have done that in summer. I should. Anyway, now we're here. Let's enter that. I'm going to tell you a bit about this kind of castle thing here. The home of the giant. Follow me. Yeah. Alright folks, still puffing on that Germain. Helps me out here in the cold. Right. Alright, let's do this quick. I'm just gonna tell you, what is it about this giant's home? So is it a giant's home, or what is it? I just tell you what historians think about this kind of castle. And it was a castle, probably indeed. So, well, you know, when Henry I, the German king, entered the throne, he had a lot of war on his hands, especially with the Hungarians. They haven't been settled down in these times. That was pretty precise 1,100 years ago, so around 900. And a bit later on in the 920s especially. They like to raid, going for a raid. So they were still nomads, and they like to go for a raiding party. So that was a huge problem. So same time when England was facing the Vikings and the Carolingian Empire in the West Francia. So in the West Frankish Empire was facing the Vikings. Same time, the East Frankish Empire, what later became Germany, was facing the Hungarians. They were coming for raiding parties, and were pretty successful, great warriors. They were trained in combat. They used to live on their horses. That's what they say. What the contemporaries tell about them. So, yeah, and Henry I, he was facing that problem. So, what did he do? So, what can you do when an enemy just comes very quickly, trained in combat, coming with horses, and you have an agricultural civilization? So those civilizations, they're not weak, they're just slow. They have a lot of power, but they're slow. They need to activate them and gather their forces. So yeah, just getting ready for combat. So, and that is really an example what Henry I did for politics thinking beyond, so just in the future, so having a bigger plan. So, and he encouraged and even ordered the communities to do small castles like this, small castles. And he organized farmers as warrior farmers. So, in those days, most free men were still capable of defending themselves, of course. But he did a bit more than that. So he encouraged people to get together, always 9 farmers, building some kind of small battle group. And one of these farmers was supposed to live here in the castle, in these small castles they built, with 1/3 of all the supply they have. So, yeah, the harvest, for example. And the other 8, they took care of his property, of his farm. And he was supposed to live here and to have everything ready, just in case. And when the raiding party comes, all the other 8 and their families just came in here with as many people as possible to protect here in the castle. So these castles, obviously, they weren't made to I don't know, withstand huge army or just to be indestructible or something like that. But this wasn't about a single castle. That was about 1,000 castles and more. So if you come with a troop raiding party, even if you come with several thousand men, and so you want to be quick. You won't take your time to break down 1,000 castles. You just can't do that. So that was the idea behind that. So number one, get yourself some extra time. Get your fighting men protected in small castles. Because if the Hungarians take them one by one, in the end there's no one left. So you want to get this extra time and to slow the enemy down. So the enemy, what does he do? He goes around these castles, finds something else, and it's hard to find something for him. And in the meantime, you get your men ready, and you have your men in the back of the enemy because they were still in their castles. They were not coming out. They're just coming out when the signal is given, and then they try to unite and form combat groups. So that was the idea behind that, and that was pretty successful because so people at first people thought, well, isn't that a plan? So building a castle for, I don't know, small groups, it's all very expensive, and where does it lead? So you have to know that Henry I was still paying tribute to the Hungarians. So the tribute was to send a certain amount of horses on a field near to the border. And then Hungarians came, took the horses and pulled back. So the second thing you want to do if you have a civilization like this, which is slow, to fight against an enemy like that, you want to know when to be ready, because you can't be always ready. So, of course, so farmers have to work on their farms and prepare on the harvest and all these things. And there are other jobs to do than just to go to combat. So you want to know when to expect the enemy. And how did he do that? So there's a saying, they say, so at a certain point, so they had some kind of peace treaty for 9 years, and when that was about to end, he placed on the same field where he was supposed to place the horses as a tribute, and everyone thought, yeah, well, perhaps we can prolong the contract or whatever. But what he did was he sent the same amount of dogs instead of horses. And that was an insult. I don't have to tell you that. So Hungarians came, they didn't find horses, but dogs. So they were, yeah, it's understandable that they were quite furious about that. So it was dishonorable. So, and Henry did that to make sure that they gonna come in next spring with a huge army. And he was certain about that, because what he did was so dishonorable. He forced their hands. So, and they really came on the next spring, but he knew that, so he was ready. The army was ready. All the men were prepared, and it was a huge battle. The battle at Ride, at the Unstrut, that's a river, not too far. A river. We don't know exactly where the battle took place, but we know about the battle pretty good. So, well, they say about 30,000 men were killed or whatever. It doesn't have to be true. Numbers normally are too high in the sources, but that was a huge battle. So, and they never came back during the lifetime of Henry I. And after that, his son, Otto the Great, probably you know Otto the Great, the emperor, that was the son of Henry. He defeated the Hungarians in another battle, and that was the end for them to live as nomads. And after that they settled down. and everything. So all that happened after that. So, and we think, as historians, that this, the Giant's home here, that was a castle built exactly in that time, for exactly that purpose. For people to come here if raiding parties are about to come. It was probably a good idea to have some shutter room or something where you can be for a while. It wasn't absolutely safe. It's not about that. But 1,000 places like that, that would be hard for an enemy to take that. Anyway, guys, that's it for now, here from the Giant's home. Hope you all are well. Hope it's not too cold at your side. It is here. Alright, guys. So, hope you have something good to chew on. Get yourself some. Perhaps you get your hands on some Germains. If not, don't be too sad about that. There's so much good stuff out there. And get yourself something and have a great time. And hope you all are well. And perhaps see you again.
好了，我们今天的测评就到这边吧，我们下回见，拜拜。